I've been thinking about this a lot lately, and I don't think we talk about it honestly enough. I think a lot of what we call being nice is actually fear. Not dramatic fear, not panic, just that subtle, constant calculation running in the background. I see it all the time in my office. Women who are incredibly competent, steady, the ones that everybody relies on, and they'll say something like, I just don't want to make a big deal out of it. And I always want to gently ask, a big deal to who? Because what usually follows is a story about something that did matter, something they did that did bother them, something that they did swallow, and they swallowed it quickly, really efficiently, maybe, almost automatically, even. And that's the part that always fascinates me. It's so fast. The discomfort rises, and before it even fully forms, it gets managed, softened, explained away. It's fine. They didn't mean it like that. It's not worth the tension. Swallowed. And I think for a lot of women, that pattern has been running for decades. You get really good at it. You become emotionally intelligent. You can read micro expressions. You know when somebody's about to withdraw. You sense irritation before it's even spoken. You preemptively adjust. And people praise you for that. You're mature, you're thoughtful, you're grounded. Meanwhile, your body is tight all the time. There's this low hum of vigilance that you don't even register anymore because it's just so familiar to you. And here's the part that feels really uncomfortable for most of us to say out loud. Most chronic people pleasers are not being oppressed in the moment. They're self-abandoning preemptively or before it even happens. No one has even reacted yet, and they've already shifted. And when we think about that, it's actually not kindness, but it's self-preservation or protection. It's protection from being misunderstood, from being labeled difficult, from feeling that cold shift in somebody's energy, from being rejected. And if you grew up in an environment where connection felt conditional, or, well, disconnection felt destabilizing, of course you learned to do that, to avoid conflict. Of course you did. But what works in childhood doesn't always work in long-term partnership, or in leadership, or in parenting teenagers who are not impressed by your emotional contortions. I can speak to this myself. At some point, the cost becomes much more obvious to you. You might start to feel resentful in ways that really don't match the situation. You're irritable over the small things. You feel like you're carrying something invisible that nobody else seems to see or even care about. And when we slow this down in therapy, what often surfaces can be surprising. It's grief. Grief for how long you've been editing yourself, how long you've made yourself smaller just to keep the atmosphere for everybody else calm. And then there's fear again, because if you stop doing that, then who are you really? Will people stay? Will the dynamic change? Will you feel like you're forgotten? Probably it will. But here's what I've noticed over and over and over again. When somebody starts tolerating the discomfort of not managing everybody else's feelings, they don't actually become cruel. They become solid. They pause before answering. They check in with themselves. They self-reflect. They say less, but it's more true. And yes, sometimes there's of course friction, but friction isn't the same thing as relationship rupture. That's something that people pleasers just have to learn really slowly in their bodies, not just up here intellectually. You can actually survive somebody being disappointed in you. And if that's feeling hard to hear right now, know that I see you. You can survive someone misunderstanding you. You can survive not being the easy one all the time. And when you stop constantly adjusting, that's where this quiet shift will start to happen. The resentment eases. The fatigue will change, even if it's subtly. You'll feel heavier, but in a good way, like you're being more present, less edited. Not perfect, not free of conflict, just real. And for a lot of women, that's the first time they've actually felt that in years.